So, someone asked me over on IG what was my take on sugar consumption. And so, I wanted to answer that in this episode. And my answer may surprise you, or maybe not, if you've heard any other episode of mine. Plus, I'm going to give you 3 tips to help you reduce your sugar consumption. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Overweighted Podcast, where we get real about the struggles of being obese and needing to lose a whole lot of weight. My name's Malaika. I'm your host, weight loss mentor and coach. Join me on my personal weight loss journey to lose about 200 pounds, and as I share my very real experiences, plus some simple, successful, and sustainable weight loss tips and mindset shifts so that we can mark lose weight off of our to-do list for good. So before I get into this episode, I want to read this email that I got. It was very encouraging for me, and it says, I am at the start of my journey and was already losing momentum, and then I came across your podcast. It's been inspiring. It has motivated me anew. So far, I've lost 32 pounds. I would like to lose about another 130 pounds, but I need to set smaller goals or I get overwhelmed. Thank you and keep up your good work. So thank you so much for that email. I'm not going to say your name because, just to protect your privacy, but thank you so much. That really encouraged me, and I'm so glad that the Overweighted Podcast encouraged you. And congratulations on losing 32 pounds at this point in your journey. Just keep it up. Like you said, keep making those smaller goals, break it down into smaller chunks, and make sure you celebrate along the way as well, because I know sometimes we can get discouraged by the bigger goal, so it helps to break it up into smaller ones. So great job. Keep up the good work. So like I said, someone had commented over on Instagram on one of my posts and just was asking my take on sugar consumption. And so I wanted to address that. I did answer it over in a reel and just kind of gave a really brief answer, but I wanted to go into more detail about this. Like I said, my answer may surprise you, but if you've heard other episodes of mine, it probably won't surprise you what I'm going to say and what my suggestion is. When I first started my weight loss journey, I knew for me, my biggest issues were drinking too much soda and eating too many sweets. I would literally drink about 2 liters of soda a day because I would only drink soda and have no water. And I would have sweets every single night. And so I knew for me that was something that I wanted to focus on at the beginning of my weight loss journey, because I knew it was something that, well, basically I was addicted to the sugar. And so when I started, I cut those out, both of them, for 2 weeks, and really just to prove to myself that I could do it and I could live without it and that I would be okay. And so that was what I did at the beginning of my journey, just to kind of kickstart things. And I will say I did add them back in, and I still do eat them to this day. But that is basically my answer as far as sugar consumption. So do we need the sugar? Nope. We don't need the sugar. Do I still eat sugar? And do I recommend that my clients have sugar? Well, I eat it. As far as whether my client should eat sugar or stop consuming it, that is really depending on their situation. I don't really suggest that they actually stop consuming sugar, and I'll explain that in a second. Do I think sugar is toxic? Probably. It probably is, with all the research and all the things that we know about how it affects our brains and things and makes us addicted, then I would say so. But also, I do know that there are some benefits for some people with sugar. If you think about when someone's blood sugar crashes and so they need to bring it up quickly, a lot of times they will eat a small piece of candy to be able to help them with that. I know there are times that bodybuilders use sugar for recovery as well in their journeys, their bodybuilding journeys. So I do know there are times when there's purposes for having sugar, but generally everyday life, no, we probably don't need it. We definitely don't need to consume as much as I was consuming on the beginning of my weight loss journey, and probably as much as a lot of you may be consuming it right now. You don't need it. And that's probably why you're listening to this episode, because you know that you have issues with sugar. And I did do another episode where I gave you tips on how to stop eating so many sweets. So I will link that in the show notes as well. But why I don't necessarily suggest that my clients stop consuming sugar, I want to talk about that. And really, with the people generally that I work with, they're women that have over 50 pounds to lose, and they have been struggling to lose this weight for years. Being stuck in that lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back cycle. And so I don't generally suggest that they stop consuming sugar right away. I don't even really suggest that they stop reducing it right away necessarily, because when you have that amount of weight to lose and you've been stuck in a cycle for years, chances are there's other things going on. You probably know what to eat, you know what to drink, you know to move your body more, but you're still not doing the things. And so that means there's some mindset stuff that we need to work on, whether it's changing your thoughts or changing your beliefs or how you feel about certain things, that we probably need to start with and focus on those things first. And then once we work on those things, then we can talk about changing some of your eating habits, because then when you change them, they'll be more likely to stick. And so even then, I don't necessarily suggest cutting out all sugar, because if you tried diets before where you have had to cut out sugar or you've had to cut out carbs, and you've known that you haven't been successful with those things in the past, then me telling you to cut out sugar is really just setting you up to fail. And it's setting you up to basically end up in a position where you're probably going to self-sabotage yourself. And so I don't necessarily suggest that someone cuts out sugar, especially in the beginning of their weight loss journey. And even going forward, I'm not going to suggest that you cut it out completely. Maybe just reduce it, right? And so that is why I don't suggest it in the beginning. I don't want to set people up to fail right away. I want you to take things step by step and build those healthy habits, work on the mindset, and eventually that will naturally come as this ripple effect happens and you're doing more and more things to support your health and support your new lifestyle, right? So I want to give you 3 quick tips to help you consume less sugar. And one of the things too that I will say as far as this is that even if you are cutting out sugar yourself, or you're cutting out sweets or reducing the amount of sweets that you are consuming, it's going to be really difficult to cut it out completely because it's in so many products that we have. You really have to be mindful of reading nutrition labels, even on products that you don't think would have sugar in them. Like, it's obvious that yes, we're going to reduce soda because soda has a lot of sugar in it. We're going to cut out the sweets and the snacks because they have a lot of sugar in it. And even juices that we are drinking maybe in the morning for breakfast, those tend to have a lot of sugar in it. But also you have to be mindful of things like your condiments, your ketchups, your salad dressings. Those things tend to have a lot of sugar in them as well, barbecue sauces. And so again, start looking at your nutrition labels and reading that so you can see what is the amount of sugar in those products, and if that's something that maybe you want to switch it out to a product that has less sugar in it, if your goal is to reduce the amount of sugar that you're eating. Again, not necessarily something I suggest for my clients, or if you work with me, that we're going to even look at right away. It may not be for a long time before we do that. But if this is something that you are wanting to do, just be really mindful of the products that you're consuming, even when it's products that you don't think would have a lot of sugar. All right, so 3 quick tips for you to consume less sugar. So first and foremost, I want you to ask yourself why you're having that sweet, or why you're consuming that sugary drink or whatever that thing is, right? When you're having it in the moment. Now, if you're having it because you just want something sweet, then great. If you're having it because you are stuffing your feelings, because you're sad, brokenhearted, you're stressed, whatever the issue is, then you really need to work through that and realize that's not a situation for you that you want to be turning to sweets to. And doing that one thing alone, asking yourself, why am I having this, or why am I wanting this right now? That's going to help you consume less, because you're going to recognize that you're turning to the sweets, or you're turning to the soda or the sugar in times when you should be doing something more productive to process the feelings that you're having. So that's tip number one. Ask yourself why before you have it. And if you went ahead and had it, then stop and ask yourself after, okay, why did I just eat that? Why did I just have that brownie? Why did I just drink 2 liters of soda, whatever your thing is, right? If you don't ask yourself before, then ask yourself after, because I know sometimes in the moment you just want the thing. You don't feel like stopping and thinking about it. Trust me, I've been there. You just want it. So take your time afterwards and then process through that. Journal it out if you need to, and ask yourself why you're having that thing, and start to recognize that. And then also, if you realize that it was because you were just trying to stuff your feelings, then come up with some ways that are better ways for you to process your feelings. Maybe you go for a walk. If you're a woman of faith, maybe you're turning to the Lord with those feelings and praying and going to Him. Maybe you're reading some Bible verses, right? Maybe you're just going out and sitting in nature, or maybe you're listening to some really calming instrumental music. So just think of some other ways that you can process through those feelings, so that you're not turning to the sweets and the sugar, if that was the reason why this time. And that alone will help you to have less sugar in the future. All right, so that was tip number one. Tip number two that I have for you is to gradually use less sugar in products that you're adding sugar to. So for instance, with coffee, if you have coffee or tea and you add sugar to those things. So let's say that you add 2 tablespoons of sugar to your coffee. Or see, that would be probably how I drink my coffee, because I add a lot of creamer. So mostly creamer, a little bit of coffee. But let's say you add 2 tablespoons of sugar to your coffee, or it could even be the creamer, because coffee creamer, if you have one of the flavored ones, they tend to have a lot of sugar in them as well. So maybe you're adding 2 tablespoons of sugar to your coffee right now, and you want to consume less sugar. So what you could do is gradually have less and less. So for instance, next time, maybe you have 1.5 tablespoons of sugar instead of the 2. And maybe you're doing that for a month, right? And then maybe the month after that, now you're going to have 1 tablespoon of sugar instead of 2 tablespoons. And so you see, you're gradually having less and less. You went from 2 tablespoons to 1.5 to 1 tablespoon, and you can keep going as far down as you want. And what'll happen is your taste buds will actually adjust to the smaller amount of sugar. And so that's giving your taste buds a way to adjust. So you're not going straight from like 2 tablespoons of sugar down to 1 teaspoon right away, right? When you're gradually doing it, it's almost like you don't notice it as much, and your taste buds have a chance to adjust gradually, and you'll find that you don't miss it. And I did something similar to this with milk in the past. I used to hate skim milk, because, skim milk has no fat, whereas you have whole milk, which is full of fat. And I used to hate skim milk. It used to just seem really thin and watery and disgusting to me. And so I didn't want to drink it. And so what I did though, is I would gradually go down in fat percentage of milk. So from whole milk to like 2% to 1%. And then eventually I could eat non-fat milk, drink non-fat milk or skim milk. And so now when I have skim milk, it's the milk that I would go to, whereas whole milk now to me it just seems really thick, and I really just don't like the whole milk. So you can do the same thing for yourself with sugar or sugary products that you're using with dressings. If you have a dressing that you love that's a lot of sugar, maybe use half of that dressing and then half of a dressing that has less sugar, and kind of mix the two up so you have a chance for your taste buds to adjust to the new flavor. So that's another way that you can consume less sugar. And I love how Myron Golden puts it. He says, we don't eat what we like what we eat. So let me say that again. He says, we don't eat what we like what we eat. And so that's basically what you're doing here, is that you're adjusting your taste buds to start liking what you're actually eating. So as you are eating more and more healthy foods, as you're consuming more and more things with less sugar, you're going to start liking those things because your taste buds adjust. All right, so that was tip number 2. And then the third thing is to drop the sugary drinks, including diet soda. So I know this is going to be hard for some of you. Like I said, this was one of the first things that I worked on, but I would suggest to consume less sugar, that you stop consuming so many sugary drinks, including diet sodas. So that means regular soda, diet soda, juices, like orange juice, apple juice, things like that. They tend to have a lot of sugar in them. And the reason I'm saying diet sodas is because they found that some of the artificial sweeteners that they use in these products are just as addictive or more addictive in some cases as regular sugar. So that's why I'm saying the diet sodas as well, right? So drop the sugary drinks, even the ones with the artificial sweeteners. That is going to help you to consume less sugar. So focus on replacing maybe 1 can of soda with a cup of water whenever you want a drink, and then gradually get to the point where you're drinking more water in your day than soda, or you're drinking all water and no soda, and maybe just having the soda on occasion, right? Or same with the juice. You're drinking water, maybe squeezing some lime or squeezing some lemon in that water and having that in place of some of the orange juice, apple juices, things like that you're drinking, right? So reducing the sugary drinks that you're drinking is going to help you consume less sugar as well. And also, if you're still eating sweets when you're not having the sugary drinks, but you're still eating the sweets, you're still having less sugar throughout the day. So it's still going to benefit you. So that could be another way for you to reduce the amount of sugar that you're having. Also, with that, be really careful again to read product labels, because there are products out there that you can find that have no sugar added, and that's great. Like, I will drink naked juice sometimes, and with those juices, they have no added sugar, and that's because there's already so much sugar already in fruit that they don't need to add any additional sugar. So look for products where it's no added sugar. I know I've seen apple juices with no added sugar before, and look for those things to have as well. And also, you want to look at the label and really make sure that you're having foods that don't have additives in them, because sometimes, say for instance with an artificial sweetener, it'll say it's all natural, but when you look at the ingredients, there is an additive in that. Say for instance with stevia, and it will say 100% natural, and you're thinking it's 100% stevia, but when you look at the ingredients, it's stevia plus another additive that they added into it. And I'm not saying that the additive isn't natural, but we have to look at, is that thing really helpful for my body? So make sure that you're reading product labels on those things as well. Even when it seems like it's something that can help you to consume less sugar, you want to make sure that you're reading those labels and make sure that, yes, I'm cutting out the sugar, but now I'm adding in some other product that is harming my body. We want to make sure we're not doing that. All right, so that was 3 tips to help you consume less sugar, and I hope that clarifies my take on sugar consumption as well. And if you are in a spot where you are needing some help with reducing the amount of sugar that you're eating, or you want some help on your weight loss journey, you realize you've been stuck in this cycle of losing weight and gaining it back for years, and you're wanting to get out of that cycle, you're ready to do some of the mindset work to move forward and figure out what's really going on with you, why you say you want to lose the weight, but yet you're not doing the things to lose the weight, or you say you want to do one thing, but then you find yourself not doing it, or you're not doing it for very long, and you want some coaching to help you with that, then go to malaikaburley.com/breakout. That link will be in the show notes, and we can set up a discovery call and see if we should partner together on your weight loss journey, and if one-on-one coaching with me is right for you. All right. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you got any value out of this, or something really resonated with you, Can you do me a favor and leave a review? It helps others find the show so that it could help them too. Also, I'd love to connect with you on other platforms. I'm Malaika Burley on IG and YouTube. And go grab my free workshop at malaikaburley.com. Of course, all of those links are in the show notes. Thanks again and have a blessed day.